Hey everyone, welcome to Happy Hour with Buzzing About Romance. I'm Becky, and with me is Leah.
Hi.
And tonight
And
oh, go ahead, Leah, sorry.
and tonight we are welcoming back author Delta James, and we are here to
Hi
talk about her
guys.
latest release, Uncorked. So, if you're looking for paranormal, dark, and contemporary Western erotic romance, you found your new favorite author. Alpha heroes find real love with feisty heroines in Delta James's sinfully sultry romances. Welcome to a world where true love conquers all and good triumphs over evil. Delta's stories are filled with erotic encounters of romance and discipline. So, the rules of the night, you can ask all the questions you want in the chat. Becky has to take care of the chat tonight because my internet was being a little glitchy, so it's not working for me. So she is in charge of that. But we will do our best to answer them all. So if you have something you want to ask Delta, put it in the chat and we will get to it.
And
You
we
know,
have a few
Absolutely.
couple few people joining us already. We have Callie and Melody, and Nikki and Susie are here. Nikki and Susie have been troopers. This is our fourth happy hour in the last week, and I think Nikki and Susie have joined us each time. I don't know. They
I
love
think
us.
so. Well, and Nikki is a
Well, it's
diehard Delta
fun.
James fan, so
She is a diehard Delta James fan.
She is. So is Melody.
Okay, so Delta, actually, you did have some exciting news. At the end of sales yesterday, you had a ribbon, right?
Yes, I had an orange banner. A number one new release banner, so that's always nice. It's
that orange banner
it's,
is exciting news.
oh yes, orange is one of my very favorite colors these days. You know, I love orange. Um, and it's just really nice. I have had so many emails and private messages from people saying how much they loved the new series and how they never thought I'd do anything as good as Wayward Mates, and they really like this series just as much. It's really cool, and they really like they really like the alpha. That they liked meeting Damien, who was not who I thought he was going to be, but I'm not. I think it's like I think I'm going to write my character this way, and the kid and they go, yeah, no, this way. It's like, but they're like, I go, this way, and I'm like, okay. So that's how I write them. So it's just really fun. I'm a total pantser. I write by the seat of my pants. I don't plot anything. I don't outline anything. I don't storyboard anything. I just sit down and let the characters speak to me and write. And but this time at least, because my marketing person Renee wanted to have all the covers done, that meant I had to come up with all the titles. So we did.
Oh, so there's a little extra this time.
Yes, there's a little extra this time we did, and I know who all the alphas are and who all the heroines are, and I know where they're located, the name of their wineries, and so I kind of have that to start with, which has really been very helpful. And as I go along, adding things, I'm adding it to this one page so that it's very easy for me to go back and refer to it.
That's awesome.
Because I hate when you have an author who says one thing in one book and then they contradict that in the next one.
We've seen it in one book, like something basic
yes,
like
we
a
did.
food allergy, and the last 70% of the book, the character eats the item that they're allergic to.
Ooh.
And it's like, you just killed them. Like, that lady's dead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's not good.
No,
that's not good at all.
So we have Sandra with us. Nikki and Melody both said that they are mega Delta James fans, the super fans. And Renee is here. And of course, my mother, Lynn, has joined us.
Hi, Lynn.
Oh, that's good.
She's always a good time. So in the chat, I'm actually going to put Delta's Amazon link. For those of you that aren't versed in the book world, the orange banner that we're talking about is that Delta was the number one book in there's different categories, right?
Uh-huh.
So she had a number one.
But she was a number one bestseller in one of the categories, or maybe even multiple categories.
So that was the excitement. But you as readers, following Delta on Amazon really helps her searchability. It also lets you know when she's got books up for pre-order and when she has books that release. So like Thursday morning, I woke up and there was an email that Delta James had released Uncorked. And it was there in my mailbox. And I was like, oh, So,
Yeah, one of the fun things for me has been when you look on Amazon, it can tell you if somebody bought this book, here's the other books they've been buying.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 5 books that it's showing or the first 4 books that it's showing are the other 4 books in the series people are pre-ordering.
Uh-huh.
So
that's awesome.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
it's very gratifying.
So since we just talked to you a few weeks ago for your bestseller release, we decided to mix it up a little bit with our questions. So we are going completely
we're keeping
off
it
the
fresh.
we're keeping it, well, we're trying to at least.
Somewhat.
Go for it.
So we're going just random tonight. So
Okay.
Becky and I and everybody else in the book world of Romance Landia want to know, what is Delta James's favorite part of the day?
Favorite part of the what?
The day.
The day?
The day.
The day.
Morning, actually. I really love mornings. I'm a morning person. I'm an obnoxious morning person. I like wake up and I'm ready to go and the rest of the world is going to get away from me.
You're
And
one of
I love
those.
it. And I love sunrise. I mean, I really get off on sunrises. But, you know, it's hard for me. It's like when people are asking me about anything's favorite, it's like, it depends on the day. You know, some days that there's something going on, like today I knew we were going to do this and I was really excited about that. You know, so it sort of depends on but I am truly a morning person. I write a lot of stuff early in the morning, and a lot of times I will start writing at 11 o'clock at night and write all the way through until the next morning.
Oh, so
I am not a
it just
morning
depends.
person.
I am not either. My youngest, however, is, and she wakes up, well, not so much anymore because school is hard, but she used to wake up at like 6:45, be like wide awake for the day. And I'm a good like half hour to wake up. I need at least 1 cup of coffee type of person. And I'd be like, just go back to sleep. Or you can just lay on the,
Chris is
lay on the couch
Chris
with
wants
mommy.
to have her half an hour of quiet with just her and a cup of coffee. And I try to respect that.
Yeah.
So,
Leah will call me at like 10:30 in the morning, or we'll talk at 10:30 in the morning, and she'll be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just having my first cup of coffee." And she's like, "It's 10 o'clock." I'm like, "I know. I couldn't get out of bed today."
Well, but I
know,
like have
don't
sent my
bother me.
kids to school and everything. So
Yeah. Mine are teenagers and we homeschool, so they don't have to catch the bus.
that's true. So next question.
This one is
What is-
fun.
This one is fun. What is the most awkward thing that happens to you on a regular basis?
oh, God. I don't know if you can hear Chris laughing in the other room. She knows. Shut up.
She,
I say to Chris on a regular basis, I'm never leaving the house again without makeup and hair done. And I invariably do it because we're just like going to run to Lowe's and get something. And we're going to run here and do that. And I swear to God, every time I do it, somebody recognizes me. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're Delta James." And I'm like, "Oh, I look like crap." You know, I have bedhead and makeup on, and it's not pretty. It's not a pretty thing. So I try really hard, but that's I don't really get embarrassed by most things. I mean, I think I've had too many things happen to me that, I've tripped and fallen, showing a dog, literally face plant, just all kinds of things. But that's probably the most awkward is when somebody recognizes me and I feel like I don't look my best.
Yeah.
Because I want to look good for people.
Well, sure.
I
think inherently we all do.
Yeah.
I think
when Skylar was a baby, I had her in the basket of up at Lowe's, and this woman, people were coming up. She's a little cute basset hound puppy, and she loves everybody. So this lady came up and she's like, "Oh, can I pet?" I said, "Of course you can pet her." And so she does. And she's like, "What's her name?" And I said, "Her name's Skylar." And she goes, "Oh my God, my favorite heroine's name is Skylar." And she stopped and I thought, and here it comes. And she goes, "Oh my God, you're Delta James." And I left. I went out of Lowe's before Chris did. And when Chris came out, I was like, "I am never doing that again." So that's the most awkward thing that happens to me.
So this kind of segues into the next question, though. Then, So
Okay.
we know you have basset hounds. What's the funniest name you have ever given one of your dogs? And do you often name your dogs after characters or characters after dogs?
Ever since I started writing, I have given all of my dogs call names, because when you have AKC dogs, you have their AKC registered name,
Okay.
and then you have what you call them at home. And ever since then, I like having girls, and so I named them after heroines. We have Ava, we have Roz, we have Skylar, we have Emma, and Emma I had Emma before I wrote a book. I started writing books, and Chris kept saying to me, "You've got to write a book with Emma as a heroine," and I'm like, and she's like, "No, you have to name a heroine Emma." So I finally did. Emma's the heroine of Faded, and she's a very cool,
so funny
vampire who gets turned by a wolf shifter.
So we have a couple of YouTube chat live. They're calling themselves virgins. We have Tanya and Renee. Welcome to the chat, ladies. We're happy to have you along with us. They're claiming virgin status. So I don't know. We need something like, I don't know. Crickets doesn't really work, does it? There.
Do that one.
That one for those virgins.
It's not loud enough. We need to fix it so it's loud. We got a new audio board and it has like built-in like sounds and stuff. And so we're trying to figure out how to use them.
Yeah. We're not really tech savvy. But I'm getting an office remodel and the Mister will be our producer for these going forward. And so maybe they'll be better. Anyway. Okay, so I am going to put Delta's. Go ahead. Sorry, Leah.
No, I was just going to say that you were going to put up her newsletter in the chat, so you can go ahead and talk about it.
I am. I'm going to put her newsletter in the chat. Again, newsletters. The prequel to Uncork, we actually got in your newsletter, correct?
Yes, you get a link to it. And I put in my newsletter for newsletter subscribers 4 novellas a year, minimum. Sometimes they're linked to a series, sometimes they're a standalone. But I figure if people are going to subscribe to my newsletter and listen to me rattle on about things, look at the obligatory puppy pictures and pictures of the house, the least I can do is write them something that you can't just necessarily go out and get somewhere else.
Well, and the prequel like novella, it's in a short. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a group of books. What is that called?
An anthology. There are actually two prequels to this. One is Harvest, which was the very first one. That's available through a link through the newsletters and through my website. And then the other one is Corked, which I got asked to write to be in a PNR anthology. And I think it runs through the end of the month, and then it too will be available.
Nikki needs to know, is Corked about Grace?
Yes.
Corked is about Grace.
Yes, is about Damien's brother Link and Grace, who was in Hunted and Claimed. She was the friend of the heroine in Hunted and Claimed.
Okay.
So you've kind of intertwined a lot of these. Because Catherine was in here, and she was talking about throwing her pottery.
She is. Catherine's a wonderful character. Catherine's a character that when I was writing that book, I was driving home from an author event, and I all of a sudden just swore really badly. And the person who was writing with me was like looking around trying to figure out why I was having road rage, because we were the only people on the road. And she said, what's the problem? And I looked at her and I looked up and I said, you might have mentioned to me your sister was one of the people who was taken before I got 2/3 of the way in the book. So I had to go back from the beginning of the book and weave in an extra storyline so that you didn't get this, oh, she's her sister. And you think, well, why didn't we know that early on? I like to surprise people and I like to have a reveal. But I like it when you get to that, you look and go, oh, why didn't I figure that out? Of course, that's who that is. Why is it, and so I try to
like little clues.
I leave little clues.
I like the breadcrumbs though.
I do too.
Yeah, I am the queen of breadcrumbs and Easter eggs. I'm really good at leaving little Easter eggs for not only new people, but for longtime readers. They'll recognize certain things that come up and they'll chuckle and giggle about how I worked them in somewhere. Because I love fun.
That.
I love that. I think it makes readers feel like they're part of it. They're included in what I'm doing. They know I'm thinking about them. So, which is true. which is how this whole series started. I had this grand plan for what I was going to write this year, and it was not this series. I hadn't even conceived of this series. And I said, I was on Delta's Wayward Pack, and I said, what do you guys want to read? And by a landslide, they wanted more stuff like Wayward Mates. They were like, we all understand you're not going to rewrite Wayward Mates, but that's what we want. We want something like that. That's what we want. So that's when I came up with Tangled Vines, and I thought, to honor them, I'm gonna weave the story in so that you get to see old, characters from the Wayward Mates. Excuse you. That's the 7-month-old puppy. So I tried to weave them in, but in a way that didn't feel forced.
Mm-hmm. It didn't. I read it last night because I just kept pushing it back, and it's like, I need to read this, and I read quite fast, so I read it this morning, a couple hours. Yeah. But I loved how they were added in, and it felt really natural. It wasn't they're just this random character that you talked about before. You weaved her and that whole group seamlessly in.
Marco, something to do. The one thing I've heard from people today is it was great to see, Cameron and Riley and Harva or in Uncorked, but it was great to see Marco and Catherine. One we got to see is Jean-Michel and Darby, and it's coming. I promise. It's coming.
It's coming. Well, they talked about him and her, they were mentioned.
Yeah.
So they're coming somewhere.
Yeah, and he's just sort of a bigger than life character, and he was never supposed to have his own book, and he was never supposed to be with Darby, and I had him still slated to be with somebody else. And he was like, no, I want her. It's like, no, I have it all set up for her. He's like, no, I want her. And I'm like, she doesn't have a backstory. He goes, well, then write one. You're a writer, write one. Go ahead.
That's true.
So I did. And I'm glad I did. He's a wonderful character. I will do that.
So what is your favorite place to visit? Anywhere in the world?
Probably Cornwall. I think if I hadn't had a horse and 2 dogs, and at the time quarantine was a year long and you couldn't see your animals for that year, if that hadn't been in place in England, I think I would have found a job in Cornwall and never come home.
Yeah.
I absolutely fell in love with just the majesty of the beauty there is just mind-blowing. And I just love the people and absolutely had the best time there. I planned to get all over England when I was there, and I ended up spending basically 2.5 weeks in Cornwall.
And it's really rocky with lots of cliffs right into the sea there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tintagel, which is supposed to have been Arthur's birthplace and the inspiration for Camelot, is there. There's a lot of old standing stones. There's a lot of petroglyphs. And those are the kind of things I love to go see. Mm-hmm. And I stayed at a place where it was a working farm, and it had been in his family since the 1700s.
Okay.
It had passed down. Yeah. And so it was really, really fun to be there. And so John would give me places to go that weren't on a tourist map. And I'd drive down some guy's driveway and say, hi, John sent me on the American. Oh, sure. And send me out through, sheep pastures to get to see things. And it was just wonderful. And I had an amazing time.
That sounds awesome. Cool. So
and
where are some
people,
go ahead.
Go ahead. So I tell people if they're going to go abroad for the first time, I really do recommend the UK because basically they speak our language and most of them like Americans. So it's,
it's a good place to start.
It's good enough and old enough that you have I went to a foreign country experience, but it's a very comfortable experience.
Yeah, there's not really that language barrier as much because when I was in college, I went to Italy through an art history class, and I remember being in a little store and getting yelled at by a little tiny Italian grandma because we didn't speak Italian and she didn't speak English, and she just started yelling at us. So we just kindly left her store. I did not get the chocolate there.
I loved Italy, but not. I mean, I don't know that you could pay me to go back to Rome, but I loved Florence.
Me
and
too.
I loved Tuscany. Tuscany to me was just mind-blowingly beautiful.
See, I
And
did Rome, Florence, and Venice. We didn't like, it was just a 10-day trip. But Florence, I loved. I like Rome. I saw it. I could, it was nice. It
yeah,
was
I went
Italy.
and saw the things I needed to see and left. But I loved Florence and just had a wonderful time there. And when I'm writing paranormal romances, I really try to set things and ground things in reality so that people can go and actually see them. In Marco and Catherine's book, it's set outside of Florence. And I talked about the Ponte Vecchio, and people are like, does that really exist? And it's like, yep, you can go to the Ponte Vecchio. Yes, it really has this. And the 2 museums I mentioned are actually there. And, I try and make it so people can go and put their hands on it and see it and touch it and have fun with it. And I think it makes it more fun to do.
Well, it makes the experience of reading and visiting a richer experience. It brings
gives us that more like, I mean, we all like paranormal. It's so like out of reality, but like it gives us that more like realistic feel to it because they're in a real place. There's like organic things that they are visiting that you could visit yourself.
Well, and when I mention restaurants, I usually mention real restaurants, and I will go and find their website, and I will actually have my characters order things from
the menu. So that's awesome.
Order what so and so ate, and that's been really.
That's
so awesome.
So we've had some other people join us. Rachel is here with us now, and we have, it says Mario Gamer, but I wonder if this might be a mom using her child's login on or husband on YouTube.
Or it could be hers.
It could be hers.
You never know.
If I did it, it would be my child's because I'm not always so smart. Nikki says, I love Catherine. And then we have a Dana with us. So welcome, Dana. And Nikki says, the Netherlands is very American friendly. And Tanya says, I want to go to Tuscany so bad, I can't even stand it. It's my whole bucket list. Apparently, everything you mentioned is her whole bucket list. It's really
amazing. The other place that I recommend people, if they want to have, a big European, is go to Denmark. Same thing. They speak they speak English. I mean, 90% of Denmark's population speaks English. So when you go there, you can, and all the signs are in English, Japanese, and Danish. So you can get around, you can find things, you can do things. And again, it's enough different that you feel like you went someplace else, but it's very American friendly.
Okay, and I would just like to say for the records, lady, Mario Gamer, it is her child. So go me.
Point for Becky.
Okay, wait. I have to try my chimes again to see if I made them louder. No, not really.
A little bit. I could hear them that time.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That one's loud.
I know. Anyway.
So, where is somewhere you would like to go, but you have never been? Or it could be more than one place. You don't have to narrow it to just one.
The only place that I haven't been, because I did a lot of traveling, probably the only place that I'd like to go that I've never been, probably would be New Zealand.
I want to go there. My brother went there. New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
My brother went there and my parents went there, but we have not gone there. I want to go to Middle Earth. And I'm showing my nerd.
That's okay. I was just going to say, Mike's family that's from Australia, they go to the Hobbit, the Middle Earth, and the pictures they share. It's beautiful. I want to go there too.
That's on my bucket
list.
Yeah, my brother made like a panoramic of New Zealand, all like one of the coasts, and it's just it hangs in my oldest like bedroom because he hijacked it. He's like, I want Middle Earth in my room.
That's so funny. Dana wants to know, can we visit the Baker Street Club?
Unfortunately, the Baker Street Club is actually my imagination. There is a 221A Baker Street, which is next door to the Sherlock Holmes Museum, but it's not a BDSM club. I wish to God it was. I think that would be lots and lots of fun to have.
That would be so much fun.
But you can at least go see the building. Sometimes I can't put there what I have there, but when I wanted to do something about a BDSM club, I thought I wanted to do something different and a little unusual. So I came up with doing Baker Street and having it kind of steampunk and Sherlock Holmes
I love.
inspired.
I think that's awesome.
Nikki says she'll go to New Zealand with y'all. Like she's in. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I will say that in August of 2022, we are going to a book signing in Blackpool, England, which is actually where Chris grew up. And so I've had a couple of people say, will you tell us what dates you're going? It's like, yeah, you guys want to come? We'll all go. It'll be fun. I'm really somebody who doesn't do itineraries when I travel. I just go and I have a hotel for the night I get there and a hotel for the day before I leave. And other than that, I go, and a lot of times I'll go to like the Capitol and see what I'm supposed to see. Like in Paris, I saw the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, and the Arc de Triomphe, and all that kind of crap.
Like the boring
And then
stuff.
I rent a car and I go out in the country and just.
That's the stuff
I
I want to
usually
do.
have a guidebook, and I just go explore. And
just want to
I've had amazing experiences because of it.
So last time Delta was on, Nikki was planning a trip for us all to go to London, and we're going to stay at the hotel and do all that kind of stuff. Apparently now Carolina, Nikki, and Tanya are planning our next trip to New Zealand. So
that's good. Let me know. We'll go. It'll be fun.
Okay.
I just have to find. We have to find sitters for the dogs, and other than that,
like they're like over here, like yes, let's go on a trip, and they're all like, yes, I'm in. Okay, guys. I'm not sure book club can afford a trip to New Zealand.
I was talking to somebody today about I'm going to be at Space Coast, and I had a gal say, she wrote me privately, and she said, I really want to go. It's not that far from me, but I'm really worried about being the only person there, and I'm in my 50s, and I'm not, body beautiful. And I said, oh, please, girl, have you seen me? And and I always tell people Chris's experience was she didn't want to go to the first one. Which is where she and I met, because she thought it was all going to be all 19-year-olds in corsets and body shorts with perfect bodies. And she was so relieved when she got there, and that wasn't what was there. And so I told her, please, Ken, because I'm going to do for Space Coast what I did year before for Dallas, which was I had buttons printed up, and I sent them in that one said Delta does Dallas. And
That's right.
I sent them out to people who were going to come. And then I said, if I don't have time, I'm also going to have a basket up at the front desk. And so I said to the front desk, can I do this? And if people ask for it, well, what do we charge? We can't collect money. I said, I don't want you to collect money. I just want you to have a button.
Delta
said,
in space.
Sure.
Your buttons this time could be Delta in space.
That could be it.
I'm just saying.
But my thought was that people, and this is what happened, people could put it on and they could recognize each other.
Yeah.
They knew that person they'd have something in common with, and they could go and talk to each other. And that was
I love that idea.
I do. Because again, that builds community, and that is huge. That's part of our mission with Buzzing About Romance.
Well, and you're like finding your person, but you don't have to ask, like, are you my person? But you can see they're your person.
The buttons were about this big around, so they were good sized buttons, and people just had a blast with it. And we put a small basket down on the front desk, and we hadn't been there, I don't know, a couple hours, and they called and they're like, could you bring us more buttons? Do you have more buttons? Because we're out of buttons. And it's like, oh, sure. So we jot down more buttons. But I try to do stuff with my readers and let them know, like, we're going to be down in the bar, or we're going to go down and have breakfast here, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. And I posted in the pack, and I posted on my timeline, so that if people are there by themselves, they can come and join us and have fun and just participate. And I think I told you last time, I take and I have these 2 tokens, and I hide them somewhere in the common areas of the hotel. And I tell people they're hidden, go find them. And if you find one of the tokens, then when we actually have the signing, you bring me the token and you get to choose the paperback that you want, and I'll sign it for you. You get to exchange it.
I love that.
I
And
do too.
I stole that idea from Pepper North, I'll be upfront. But she always put a book out. And I thought, that's nice, but I want people to have the book they want to have. Because we've talked about when I do gifts, I always say just a signed paperback and they get to choose. And I want people to have what they want.
Right.
So
Yeah. So Nikki says, find your tribe. Carolina volunteered her husband to stay with the dogs when we go to New Zealand.
Oh, good.
And
Does he
everyone
want to stay
thinks
with
this.
6 basset hounds?
Everybody thinks this sounds super fun. And Space Coast is in Cape Canaveral, Florida, correct?
Correct.
So
Well, that's not far
June.
from Carolina.
That's not
We'll
far
just
from
go visit
Carolina.
her. We'll go
Just
visit
stay at
her and
Carolina's. And go
we'll
to
just
the
invite ourselves.
Carolina will be fine. But I am so Delta, you mentioned your Facebook group, and I've only been a part of the Facebook group since our first event. I adore your Facebook group. That it is like the
I
most
do too. They're wonderful.
welcoming, kindest people. Everybody
agree.
is so sweet. I just adore it. And so if you are looking
We don't
for
we
your
don't have a lot
tribe,
of drama.
no, you do not. No drama. And they're just helpful with books, and they always have positive things to say. So if you're looking for your tribe, if you're looking for other people that love romance, and I highly recommend that you join Delta's Facebook group, because it's a beautiful group of women or people, because there's some dudes in there too.
There's some dudes in there, but there's a lot of women, and we don't have a lot of rules. I mean, it's sort of what's said in the pack stays in the pack, and you have to be civil to one another.
Yeah.
Period. And I've had one or two people that have violated that, and I bounced them so fast out of the group, it wasn't even funny. I want that to be a safe place, and I've had discussions that take place that I sit and watch and think, oh my God, I can't believe these people are being so open. This is so wonderful. And I feel really humbled that they feel safe around me to share that with me and with my tribe. And you can feel safe about that. That it's just a really lovely group of people from all walks of life, from all ages. I remember my publisher once said to me, I'm a hybrid author, I do indie and published. And we were at a dinner, and he was talking about people's demographics and this and that. And he looked at me and he said, and you're my little outlier, because your demographics just don't make sense. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, he said, this author's like, 19 to 30, and this one's, 35 to 50, and this is, he goes, and then there's you. It's like 18 to 80 and everything in between. And that really made me feel good, that there are people that can relate to my books and relate to my people, even if they're not their age or there's something different, but there's something about them they find that they can take and make their own and relate to.
Yeah.
And I get letters and emails from people and private messages from people that, a book I wrote really helped them in their life and made a difference in their life. Because I always say, I'm not trying to write the great American novel. I'm just trying to entertain people. And I think I do a good job of that. But to hear that what I thought was just entertainment, and I try to make my characters real, really help somebody at a bad time in their life, help them get through a divorce or help them get through that. That's just, Chris always knows when it happens, because I sit and cry. I get all teared up, and I am not a pretty crier. I don't know how to do the pretty cry. And it's just it's humbling. It's just sort of like I'm just humbled by it that I could help somebody in that way, doing something I love. It's just amazing to me.
I like, as I was sitting here reading these comments, and Nikki says, find your tribe. That's something that's been really important to us with our buzzing about Romance Tribe, is finding a place for the romance lovers to be able to come talk about something they love. Because, in society, sometimes romance is the, redheaded stepchild of the literary world, and it shouldn't be. Look at her like, yeah. But there's amazing people that read romance, and there's amazing people that are in this community. And so, like, as we sat here, Nikki's like, find your tribe. I'm like, oh, we're her tribe. Nikki loves us. Or so we tell her she has to love us.
But it is. I mean, I get back from people, this is the only place I can share this kind of stuff. I can't say this in my real life to other people. I have nobody else to share this with, or to share these concerns with. And I think that's a pretty cool thing to have. And I'm glad I can do that for people. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Well,
that
it's that common denominator that people find, and like they feel comfortable talking, because there are times where things are happening, and like you don't have anybody in your real life that you can talk to about with things like that, because they don't know what you're going through, and you have to find those people that are either experiencing
And,
what
and
you're
they don't
experiencing
understand. They just look at it and go, "Oh, that's weird. I would have nothing to do with
Well,
that."
and Nikki
Yeah.
says your
Um,
strong female characters help us as women to feel stronger. And Dana shares you do a great job with that. She loves your books, and they bring joy into her life. So it's always good to hear. This is like a major eco boost
Yeah,
over
I mean, it
here.
is. I mean, this kind of stuff just, makes me feel, when I get down or I think, am I writing well enough? Am I doing a good job? Am I just, Chris has a couple of things. She just walks over and hands them to me again and says, "You need to read this. Don't forget this. Don't forget what so and so said." And it's very, it just means a lot to me. It just means a tremendous amount to me. I have friends who are never going to read what I write.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, "Oh my God." My sister, I think I shared last time, my sister basically disowned me. And that's okay. That's a choice she gets to make. But, I know that there's a lot of people I touch about that and with what I do and what I write, and they can share those experiences. And even if they're never going to experience them firsthand, they get to know what that's like and feel what that's like. Because I try to write my characters with a lot of emotion, so that you know what they're going through. And I write a lot of strong women, and they're sort of like, "How the hell did I get into this? This doesn't make any sense." Because a lot of times as women, we're told, if you're a feminist, you have to be this way.
Yeah.
And you can't like this. You can't want a dominant man. That's wrong. You're wrong to want that. And to me, I'm an avowed feminist, have been all my life. Feminism is to me, about the ability to choose what you want.
Yes.
And that it's okay. That you don't have to say, "This is your lane. It's the only lane I can have. I can only have this lane my whole life." If you want to change lanes, put your blinker on and change lanes.
Right.
That to me is what feminism is about.
Yeah.
If somebody is a stay-at-home mom and they find that fulfilling and they can, good for them. I'm their champion. If somebody wants to go out and shout at a glass ceiling, I'm their champion. It's what you want to do. And it's what makes you feel good and makes you feel empowered and gives you happiness and joy and allows you to sleep at night.
Yeah. Mario Gamer, if you want to type in your real name in the chat, I will totally call you by your real name. But for right now, it's super fun to call you Mario Gamer. The first time you messaged her, she was so excited. She couldn't believe that her favorite author was talking to her, that like you were reaching out and making that connection. And I will tell you, that's part of the reason that we started this podcast and this platform. As we started the podcast, we, whoever I was with, whatever co-host I had at the time, we got to talk to the authors. We got to ask questions of them. We got to interact with them. And I wanted to be able to bring that magic to the other readers, to the mass groups, so that they had the opportunity to ask the questions they want, get to know the authors a little bit. Because your words have impact in our lives. Some of us break out of our shells. Some of us find comfort. We find friends, book boyfriends. And so it's Mario Gamer's Autumn. So that's part of why Buzzing About Romance was so important to us to have this kind of happy hour platform that we could get to share, these little glimpses of the authors. Particularly right now when none of us can go anywhere.
I will tell you that we talked last time that I always say I'm a lazy author because I have Renee Brooks too. She does a lot of stuff for me. And she and I were talking the other night, and I said, I know some of the stuff you knew, but I also know it's the iceberg. I see the third of what's above the surface. And she has all this other stuff going on that I have no idea what she's doing, and frankly don't care because she's doing a great job, so it doesn't matter. But when you private message me or when you email me, that is not Renee. That's me.
That's you.
I'm the one you're talking to. I think that's the least I can do for my readers is talk to them. And have I spent, I've been known to spend hours. I had a gal one time, she wrote me and we got to talking about all kinds of different things. And we were on for about 3 hours, and she went back next day to her friends at work who also read my stuff. And she said, "Oh my God, I talked to Delta Jens." They're like, "That's not her. That's some flunky she pays to do that." And she came back the next night. She says, "Is it really you?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, well, you know, my friend said, and I said, I can fix that. And I took something that was a work in process and I sent her a scene. And I said, tell them it'll be in the next book, and nobody has seen this yet. And she was like, oh my God. So you said awkward earlier. The thing with the makeup is bad, but I was once in the ER and they were coming in and out, and all of a sudden nurses started coming in and getting my autograph. And finally the ER doctor said, are you like famous? I'm like, no, but people know me. And for some reason I'm very popular with nurses. I'm not sure why that is, because I provide medical stuff. I'm very popular with nurses.
Nikki works in the medical field, so maybe we can figure out from Nikki.
Yeah.
Why is that, Nikki? Why do nurses love Delta?
Before we get into the next group of questions, I am sharing the Buzzing About Romance newsletter link. You can sign up. We're sending our first one out on April 1st. Leah is in charge of this. We've got some cool, we'll keep you up to date on all our events, but we also have some cool little sections we're going to do. Our floof of the month. Each Friday right now, we're featuring a different fluffy member of our fan club. Today we started with Leah's dog, Link. So anyway, if you would like to hear more from us and things, all the fun stuff we have going on, you can join our newsletter. Anyway, that's all I got.
So
yeah,
we
do.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, Renee puts together a lot of my newsletter and lays it out and everything. But in every newsletter, there's a note from me. And again, the note is from me. It's not from Renee. She has nothing. There are times she says, do you really want to say that? And it's like, yes, I do. And she's like, oh, okay. But, you know, I think it's important for people to know that it's not just done by somebody else or by a service or by, you know, that the author is actually involved in it.
I'd agree.
And so
I agree with that.
I like that personal aspect to it.
Me too.
Ours is all us. We don't hire anybody.
Well, it's all me, and Becky
It's
just
all
says
Leah.
Okay.
I just am shaking my head.
It's one of those things that I don't know how she does all that she does, and I'm just eternally grateful for that. And I try at least every once in a while to mention Renee by name and on the pack, and Chris, and then I have some readers that I call my critical readers that I send manuscripts to get feedback from them, and it's really important to do that. And I had one of them who has been doing that for me for years, and she met some people in Dallas and really wanted to do that for them. And they said, oh yes, you know, that's what I want. I want honest feedback. And she said to me later, that's not what they wanted. And I said, yeah, I knew that was going to be the case, but I do want to hear it. And sometimes they tell me I don't like this character and I think he's a jerk and he's this, that, and the next thing. And sometimes I realize that you think that because I haven't told you enough about him. I haven't given you enough internal dialogue.
Yeah.
So I really take that kind of stuff and really work with it. And I think my critical readers think it's really fun because they see the original manuscript and then they see the book when it came out and they're like, oh, I did that. You know, and I think that's really fun.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead, Leah.
Oh, no, go. Oh, jeez. Okay, so what is something outstanding about your readers and community that everybody else should know?
That they're passionate, voracious readers, that they are really a wonderful group. I mean, if you're wrestling with something and you say on the pack, you know, I'm really wrestling with this. Does anybody have any? People will step up and help. They'll give you advice. They'll give you the benefit of what happened to them. To me, that they're involved and that they'll make themselves vulnerable to other people I think is really special and amazing. And the fact that they are such a diverse group. I mean, I have women who are 18 and 19, and I have women who are 78 and 80. You know, and everything in between. And I have them here in the States and in Canada and Australia and in Europe and England. And which is why, you know, when I do a gift basket, I don't just limit it to people in the US because I think that's tacky. I'm asking people in Australia to read my books. They should be able to participate fully in whatever I'm doing. So
Great. I agree.
But I think they're a really smart group. I mean, they're very intelligent and they're very non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
You
Which
know,
is nice.
they just really are. They come from a lot of different places and they are very, very non-judgmental. And I think that's pretty special. And we don't have any cliques in the pack. That's the
That's
other
nice.
thing I've noticed. There's not like this little clique over here and this little clique. You know, it's like,
It's the pack
yeah, it's the
in
pack.
the
We
literal
all
sense
play.
of the term.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
plays.
It's
So Tanya would like to know, Delta, how long have you been writing romance?
actually just since 2018 was when my first book was published. And I've been very, very fortunate. People embraced my work. And in 2019, in April of 2019, I was able to tell my day job to kiss my ass, basically.
Excellent.
And did. I
Good
really
for
did.
you.
They had changed my job, and it was just what they were doing was absolutely undoable. They've gone through 6 people since me. They've a lot of changes. None of the people who used to have my job in other branches are there anymore. And one day the manager of the branch I was at said to me, well, you know, I'd hate to have to write you up before you leave because I've given my notice. And I just looked at her and I didn't say anything. And that Friday, I took all the stuff out of my office. And she said, well, why are you doing that? I said, because next Friday is my last day. And she goes, well, yes, but that's next Friday. And I looked at her and I said, yes, but if you ever try to threaten or intimidate me again, I will be able to pick up my car keys, tell you to kiss my ass and walk.
Yeah.
And she just kind of looked at me and I said, I'm not going to another job. I don't need a job reference.
Yeah.
You know, this is my new job. So I don't really care.
Carolina is curious, what was your day job? And you can just say like the industry maybe.
Oh, no, I was a business office manager of a home health agency.
Okay,
I was the one
everybody
who
wants
was
to
in
know what
charge
your
of
day job
scheduling.
was.
I started out life as a legal secretary, which is why I can type as fast as I can, which is very helpful when you're a writer. I mean, the last time anybody checked me, I typed on a typewriter. That's how old I am, at 180 words a minute, which
On a
means
typewriter?
I key on a on a typewriter. I can
That's
fly.
impressive.
But what it means is when I'm writing, I can write almost as fast as I can think it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes the process so much easier for me. And then I worked my way into HR, and I was a HR director, and I became a COO of various nonprofits. I'm usually in either the legal or the healthcare field.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So, and really enjoyed it. And I got really badly burned by a company, and I just decided I needed a break. I just needed to go and have a job. I could go in at 8, leave at 5, and not live at 24/7. And I applied for a job as a scheduler in a place. And the director said, you know, you're like way overqualified for this job. And I said, yeah, but I need a break. I really, really need a break. I'm burned out. I'm just toast.
Yeah.
I said, I will promise you I will not even look for a job for at least a year. And she said, okay. And so she hired me, and I'm deeply grateful to Monique for that, because she did let me reset. And then I decided that I was sort of in a rut and I needed to break that rut. And I applied for a job as a middle manager, as a business office manager for the company. They're all over the country. And I picked someplace. I'd lived in the Pacific Northwest most of my life. And I moved to North Carolina. And I had people saying, you know, oh my God, North Carolina, you're so brave. I go, brave? It's North Carolina. It's not Outer Mongolia. Let's be real about this.
Right.
But I get now what they meant by brave, but I never saw it as brave. For me, it was, I need to make a change. I need to make a break. And so I did. And that's being there, sitting in my living room one night and having this idea of, where was the girl? I mentioned this last time. Where was the girl whose motto was fortune favors the bold? And I've lost her somewhere along the way, and I want her back. Yeah. And so I said to myself, well, how does that look? How you going to manifest that? And it was, I've always wanted to be a novelist. And I sat down that night and started my first novel.
That's so awesome.
Well, you have
Follow
done
your
it well.
dreams, no matter when.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, I don't make decisions based in fear. I can look at things and, you know, I evaluate whether or not it's safe to do or that kind of thing. But I don't do something because I'm afraid it might not work out. I don't do something because I'm afraid somebody might not like what I'm doing. I don't do fear-based decisions anymore. I just don't.
That's
and
awesome.
I can tell you, I'm a whole lot happier than I used to be.
Sure.
It's been an amazing ride.
Well, it's, no matter your age, I've talked about this recently with a couple people. I'm early 40s. My husband will correct me and tell me I'm mid 40s. But to be
Slap him.
right, to be early 40s and to finally have found my niche, my place I belong, my tribe, doing something that makes me immensely happy. It is amazing, and it changes your perspective in your life. Now, I'm a
Everything.
workaholic now. I feel like I work all the time. But
I've always
love
been a
it.
workaholic, but that's my thing is I love what I do for a living. I get up every morning and I don't go, oh God, I have to write. It's like, ooh, what am I going to write today? What am I going to learn about my characters today? Because like I said, I'm a pantser. I don't know. It's until they sort of say, oh, by the way, and I really enjoy that. I mean, it's exciting and fun and just, it's a wild ride. And I get to interact with readers and get to do things like this that are just really fun. And I'm living my best life. And I started at 60. I have a friend who's a tenured professor at the University of Delaware. And she's very well known outside in colleges and everything. I mean, if you talk about who she is, people will go, oh my God. And she said to me one night, you're my inspiration. And I kind of looked, I said, Heidi, you're a tenured professor. How am I your inspiration? She said, because at 60, you decided you wanted to change your life and you did it. She goes, I think that's just amazing. She says, I like what I do, but I don't love it like you do. And she said, I think that's what I like people to hear. It doesn't matter. Like you said, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you suddenly go, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like the person I've become. And usually it's not because you've done something wrong. You've just lost a part of yourself.
Right.
And get it back. I mean,
See, I'm
just
kind
get
of
it back. You can do it.
I'm on the other end of that. Like, I've been a stay-at-home mom for almost 10 years. And like this year I was going to go back into the workforce, like being home because my youngest is in all-day school. So I could go and do something part-time, but I didn't know what I was going to do. But then COVID happened last year while she was still a half a day. And I kind of stumbled into the Bookstagram world and kind of stumbled onto a PA job with an author that I adore. And then I stumbled onto Becky and that tribe. And so I've kind of found my thing, like all kind of by accident, but like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, cause I haven't worked for 10 years.
I think sometimes when you try and plan everything and say, this is what I'm going to do. This is my plan. I'm going to make this. I think you miss opportunity. I mean, you can accomplish that, but I think you miss opportunities. It's the same thing I talk about when I travel. I don't have an itinerary. I sort of read up on where I'm going and I know things I want to see, but I literally rent a car and drive and go see things. And if I'm headed north, but the road to the east looks far more interesting, I go, well,
you're going to go east.
Yeah. And I've just gotten to do things that
you want to
when
do.
I was in England. Yeah. When I was in England, I was at Winchester Cathedral, which is really an important political cathedral in England. And I was in I love graveyards. And I was in the graveyard and this guy comes out in the full cassock and priest outfit. And I said, oh God, please tell me I didn't go someplace I'm not supposed to be, because I've done that. I've been so engrossed in doing something I haven't seen the no trespassing sign. He said, oh, no. I just would argue, and I said, well, I'm going to take. And we got to talking and I knew about the cathedral and I knew a lot of its thing. And he said, well, what's on your itinerary? I said, I don't do itineraries. And he said, well, come on to my office. And I said, well, okay. So I did. And he said, let's just stow your gear in here. And I realized this was the guy who's the head priest of the whole cathedral. And I spent the day with him going places tourists aren't allowed to go. I got to go up into the bell tower, and they don't take tourists up there. But when you go up there, you see why it's so important, because you can pretty much see most of England from the bell tower at Winchester Cathedral.
That's
I got
awesome.
to go down into the catacombs and see knights from the Crusades that were buried there. It was just amazing. That never would have happened if I'd
Mhm.
had an itinerary. If when he said to me, hey, how about you come and do this? Let me show you my cathedral, and say yes. And I think that's the way it is in life. I think it's great to have a plan and it's great to kind of have an idea. But if you put on blinders and you're not going to do anything but follow that plan, you may miss the opportunity of a lifetime. You may miss somebody that could change your life irrevocably. Um, I just think you have to be more open than that.
Yeah.
And
agree.
that's what I try to encourage people is if you've got a dream, I don't care who tells you can't do it, try it.
Yeah.
You may, and it's something I talk about with I crack up about young authors. Most of the time they've written longer than I have, but I've been very fortunate, been very successful. But I tell them, I don't think it's fear of failure that stops people. It's fear of success. We sort of, as a nation, have trained people to accept their failures. It's okay to fail, and it is okay to fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. But that's okay. But we don't teach people to embrace their success,
Right.
and to capitalize on that success. And you can, there's an old axiom that everybody has at least one great novel in them. I kind of believe that. So you write this novel and it does really well. And then you're faced with, oh crap, now what do I do? I mean, I wrote Brought to Heel and it had this huge thing and I got amazing numbers. And I literally sat there and thought, oh crap, what do I do now? Because as I've said, it was an experiment to see if I could write paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
But it was a successful experiment.
Yeah, it was. And but I embraced it and I didn't let the fear of success stop me.
Yeah.
I just went, okay, I can do it.
Tanya says, girl, this is better than church. I think Tanya, for a YouTube live version, I think she is getting a ton out of tonight. We've embraced our feminism. We've told everybody to take some risks, find your tribe, embrace and push your successes. Don't have an itinerary.
But I think that's what we as women need to be doing for other women.
I agree.
We need to be empowering them. We need to be saying, 100%. Embrace your success. We need to be doing that. And that's why, like I said, when people private message me, I'm the one you talk to. And I can't tell you how many times I've had literally several hours worth of conversation with somebody, messaging back and forth, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So, yeah. And especially when we had COVID and it's been so difficult for people. And I know that there are people who don't have anybody. And so I always say, if you don't and you need to talk, contact me. I'll talk to you. I don't have a job I have to go to. I don't have, I've got a lot more freedom in my day than most people do. Yep. So I try and be there for people.
Okay, so before we go on to the next thing, I do want to take a minute and talk about Bookcase and Coffee and Buzzing About Romance, our Patreon campaign. Because of that campaign, we're able to host. I have words. Host. We're able to host live events like this. We have our Drunk Book Club. We also have other special events, and we're getting ready to launch our reading challenge for April, which is reading a romance that is a baseball, has something to do with baseball. March's challenge was we had to read a book of a place you've never been, that takes place in a place you've never been. So we like to try to mix it up and give everybody variety. So if you're enjoying your time with us, please feel free to check us out on patreon.com/bookcaseandcoffee. We do a lot of fun stuff. I promise we're good people.
We do.
That's my little pitch. And we did actually, Callie Confidential, who has joined us in the chat, right before the event started, she joined our Patreon. So thank you for joining us, Callie, and I'll have an email out to you tomorrow.
Oh, that's exciting.
With all our cool stuff.
Welcome, Callie.
Welcome to the chaos.
Don't blame us when your TBR blows up.
Right. How many books do you have again, Tilta?
I think right now, 30, 35, something like that.
Okay.
I basically put out at least a book a month. And this year my goal is every 3 weeks. So
you've done it so far, I think, haven't you?
Yeah. I have.
Well, I think, didn't we
Because
get double
I've read
in
quite a
February?
few in the past couple months.
Did we get double in February? I feel like I got
Yes.
doubled in
Yeah,
February.
I'm trying to do it every 3 weeks because that gives people something new to read, you know? And I try to do like one series and then the next book in the other series and then
Yeah,
back
you're
to
like
one series and
flopping.
back. So you're never more than 6 weeks between books. Because one of the things when I talk to readers that drives them batshit crazy is waiting months and months and years for books that may never show up.
Okay.
I do.
So people that are part of like newer to reading, I've been reading romance since I was 14. So I got years on me here. It used to be, we used to get 2 times a year that we'd get a novel from an author. You'd get it in May and then you'd get it in November. And it was like feast or famine the rest of the year. And people who are like, gosh, I have to wait 6 weeks to read the next book. I'm like, you do not understand. The rest of us, we'd wait 6
They don't know
months
the
between books.
pain.
Good
Well,
God.
and you get from me, you get another book in there in those 3 weeks. And if you're a newsletter subscriber 4 times a year, at least 4 times a year, you get something else.
Yeah.
And the thing about novellas
Another
is,
little snippet.
I'll have readers say to me, what about this character? Or what about that character? And sometimes they're not characters who actually would have a whole novel, but I can make a novella for them. And so it's really fun. I mean, I have a lot of interaction with my readers, and I listen to what they say, and I listen to if they have ideas. And if I was talking yesterday to one of my readers, and she said, "What if this?" And I was like, "What a wonderful idea!" So it's just like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. So I mean, I do listen to that. One of the things I hear from people is they want to see a full-bodied woman, a plus-size woman who embraces her curves, who isn't trying to starve herself, who doesn't think she's awful, that doesn't think that she's proud of who she is. And so I decided to do that in this series, and it's the 4th book. It's called Full Bodied, and it's about a woman who
I cannot wait
is a plus-size
because
woman.
okay, so let's talk a little bit about Tangled Vines, this
Uncorked.
new series. Book 1 is Uncorked. It's okay, so this is a new pact, but it is connected to the other pact.
It's set in the same world as the Wayward Mates. So it's
Okay.
the same things that bind that group bind this group. That has been some of the interesting thing about writing the first one was, how do I not bore readers of the Wayward Mates who know about this world and yet tell new people who've never seen this world how the world functions?
Right.
And then people want to see their favorite characters come back. So I've been able to weave them into the story. And that's been a lot of fun.
So I previous to you, Delta, honestly, I hadn't read Shifter Romance. And then I was like, okay, she's coming on. I'm checking this out. And Leah is a huge Shifter Romance fan. And obviously we have Nikki, who is like, read it.
Well, and I had never read your Shifter Romances. I had read other ones, but then we got you, and I was like, and then I went down the Delta James rabbit hole and read like 7 books in like 2 days.
I've been down this rabbit hole now, and I'm like, ooh, these are sexy. I like these. So,
I have not went down the entire rabbit hole yet, but it's coming.
You will. Yeah, you will.
we're pretty sure we will. And they're on Kindle Unlimited, which makes it that much better.
Absolutely. Always. They're always on Kindle
Well,
Unlimited.
it's so much easier. The rabbit hole is just, it's accessible. Like, it's there.
I always say I have really voracious readers. Most of them do not have the money to buy 2 or 3 books a week.
Yeah.
Instead, they can do Kindle Unlimited and they get to read them. And if they really like it and want to have that one to keep, then they buy that one as well. And I think it's really exciting. And I'm not always popular. I'll be upfront with you with other authors about my feelings about Kindle Unlimited. And I don't really care. Yeah. Because I always say, I don't write for other authors. I write for my readers. That's who I write. That's who I write for.
And I love that. I love that, like, your main goal is to write for the reader. Like, it's not about anything else but us.
It is. It's all, like I said, I had planned out what I was going to write this year. And when I just sort of at the beginning of the year said, what would you guys like to see? And I mean, it was a landslide. We want to see Wayward Mates. It was like, oh, well, I guess I'm not writing what I thought I was. And I literally put it away and went back the other way. And
you're going to get that like, eventually?
So you're going to get that? In the chat, Kelly says, I consider myself a fan, especially loved the Wayward Mates. So to say that I'm excited about the new series is an understatement. She does have a comment about the character of Damon. So I encouraged her to go ahead and ask that. And Dana says the only shifter books she is able to read are Deltas. So got the cream of the crop right here.
Who say, I don't like shifter books. And I think, you're a Wayward Mates fan. And they go, okay, I like yours, but that doesn't count. I don't like other shifter books. Like,
that doesn't count.
But I think my guys, it's like, my guys, even if they're hard asses, they love the women they're with, and they don't cheat, and they express their emotions, and good triumphs over evil, and love conquers all. And some of that sounds trite to people or cheesy to people, but I really believe that. And I think
fiercely
people need
loyal.
to believe that.
Yes. Fiercely
your
loyal.
Men are fiercely loyal. And, I'm very fortunate. I'm married to a man who is fiercely loyal. So when I read your books, I think, yep, I have a good one. These are good ones.
Yep.
So fiercely loyal. That is the one thing. When somebody said something, I said, oh, these books have the male character is fiercely loyal. He's not just loyal. He is fierce in his loyalty.
Yeah,
so
they are absolutely madly in love with their women. And they will do anything they have to keep them safe. There's I wrote a scene in Jean-Michel's book where he literally slits a guy's throat. I mean, there's no other way around it. He holds the guy's head and just kills him. And at first my editor said, I don't think we can do that. And I said, you can't not do it. And she said, well, it's kind of violent. I said, well, it's not that violent. I said, yeah, he kills the guy. But it is integral to the story because he's killing a man who abused his mate. There's no freaking way Jean-Michel Gaultier let somebody who once abused Darby live. That's just not happening. And one of the favorite things that people of Wayward Mates love about that couple is there's a point at which she's still struggling. She doesn't want to be with him. She's fighting with him. And he finds out that this guy abused her. And he turns and looks at her and says, would you like me to give you his head on a platter? And she's like, no. And he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. But for Darby, it's that moment she kind of goes, this guy's not like that guy. This is a different thing.
So Callie's asking a little bit about Damon, and I know we spent some time on Jean Rene and Damon last time too. So Callie, we're going to answer these questions, but also the last time we had Delta on our happy hour, she did break down a little bit more of these characters. So Callie says, I understand he's an alpha, and she's talking about Damien. I understand he's an alpha in all that entails. So I have no problem with him being tough and stern with his pack and the she-wolves. But with Kenzie, who wasn't, and is struggling with a twin sister's death and a brother-in-law, plus losing her humanity, he doesn't seem to allow her any breaks. Granted, she's only halfway through and can't wait to finish it, but she's still struggling a little bit with him. Can you tell her how Damien came to you?
Damien literally showed up and said, I have a story to tell. And this is my story. And the fact is that that was something that my critical readers came back and said, he's not real easy to like. And so as you come through it, you find out more and more that Damien, he in the end acknowledges that she lost her twin, but he lost two members of his pack. And he's carrying a lot of guilt that he somehow should have protected them.
Right.
And you have to remember when it all starts, I don't want to spoil anybody, so if you haven't read the book, plug up your ears. But he's struggling with that. And he doesn't know that Kinsey isn't her twin sister. It's a case of mistaken identity. And her sister never shared with her that she had been turned to a wolf. So Kinsey's struggling with that too. I think in the end, you'll really like Damien because he does come to understand Kinsey. And, you guys just read him. So what do you think?
I think his brother is a big part of that because he kind of gives him this, like, they were on the phone, I think, and he gives him, like, they're talking.
Right?
Link,
That's Link.
Yeah, because they're saying in the chat, Link will chew him up about that, and it does get revealed through the story of Callie. So don't give up. Don't give up, Callie.
Yeah, he really.
No, don't give.
There's this. That was one of the things I started to when I was getting the feedback on Damien. I thought, okay, who could do? And I've always loved the relationship between Link and Damien. And I thought it's Link. Link is the one who's going to say to his brother, "You're being an asshole." And at one point, he says to him, "You've moved forward. Don't be an alpha hole and go backwards." And Damien will actually listen to him because that is his brother, and they're very close. And so I ended up really liking Damien. I thought he would be harder than he turned out to be, but he does really give his heart to Kinsey, and he's the first one who says, "I love you." And he's the one who.
I loved that Link was the one that opened his eyes and, like, showed him and, like, told him, like, you need to look at this from an outside perspective. Like, it's not just you. It's not just what you lost. She lost these people too, but she is looking at it from a completely different perspective because she was human.
Yeah, exactly.
Renee says, keep reading Damien. He has a light bulb moment and becomes better. Promise.
Yes,
so
he does.
Keep sticking with it, Callie. So Delta, before we go on for you to tell us what's next for you, if you guys are still with us, give us a hey in the chat so that I can get your names, because Delta has 2 baskets up for grab. One is a metal wine tumbler, glass tumbler that has her logo and stuff on it with a signed copy of Uncorked. And then we also have a gift basket that she put together with a book of your choice that you get to pick to have signed. And then buzzing about romance, we have I have a candle and a Baby Yoda book sleeve and a Baby Yoda coffee wrap, and of course some stickers and other goody stuff I threw in here. But my girl child made book sleeves with Baby Yoda on them. Anyway, isn't that cute? She wants more Baby Yoda fabric. She's like, "Mom, can we go to Joann's and get more fabric?" I'm like, "Not today. I'm too busy." But anyway, if you're still here, give us a hey so that we can get your name on our list for the 3 giveaways. So, Delta, what's next for you?
I am 2/3, 3/4 of the way through a new shifter series that is not in the Wayward Mates world. In fact, it is not a wolf shifter.
Will you tell us what kind of shifter?
Sure, it's a cowboy. Here's my little plug for Wayward, the Wayward Pack. If you are on Delta's Wayward Pack, I have Tuesday teasers, which are usually books that are just coming out or getting ready to come out. I have a work in progress Wednesday, and that is stuff that I am literally working on right now. And you get snippets and scenes and all kinds of stuff. And then I have a throwback Thursday, which is about books that have been out for a while. These guys are mountain lions, and I wanted to make them very different than the wolves. I wanted them to be big cats, and the only big cats that have any kind of social structure other than African lions are mountain lions. Males will generally share territory, and they can have several females that run through all the territory. So that gave me something to work more with, like the wolf shifter, but it's a very different world. Things are not the same. And in the first one, it's 4 brothers, and their father is found, well, supposedly his horse threw him, but you come to find out he was murdered. And there are 4 sons, and they are Cade, Cash, Cole, and Clay. And those are going to be the 4 books. And it's set in Idaho. Somebody said, why aren't you setting it in Texas? And I said, because everybody and their brother sets cowboy stuff in Texas. And I happen to know Idaho has a lot of cowboys. I lived up in the Pacific Northwest. And I just think Idaho's beautiful. So I try to set things in places that other people don't set them. so that you
Mhm.
think about things differently.
Yeah.
And I really think it's fun. But they're
And
mountain lions, and they're very kind of second chance romance for Kate.
well, and Idaho has some extreme in their land too. You know, you can get into the cities and it's, you know, very developed, and then you get out to the mountains, it's almost like desert. You know, there's not a lot
Hmm.
there, and
And
cliffs and
you can get up into huge mountains with glaciers in them. So it is a
yeah.
very, and I've said it in the Panhandle because um, when I lived in that area, I had horses and I used to ride in the Panhandle. So I know that place. When I first met Chris, she just read Taming His Cowgirl, which is set in the Idaho Panhandle. And when we got to talking, she said that opening paragraph, opening scene where the horse, and I said, yeah. And she said, is that a real place? And I said, yeah. And so as we got to know each other long, she goes, someday I want to go there. I want to see that. I want to see that creek. I want to ride there. And I said, okay, we'll do that. So that's one of our bucket list things, is to go for me to take her to Idaho and take her up. And
Kelly wants to know if you,
it's an amazing thing.
Kelly wants to know if you have any books coming to Audible.
All of my books right now are on Audible, except for Uncorked isn't, but Big Dog, which was the one right before Uncorked, is being recorded now. But yeah, everything's on Audible because people really like it. And
Yeah.
and right now, when last year I revamped 3 novels in the Wild Mustang series because I'm a better writer than I was when I wrote them. And I had people who were very upset with me and don't change it. And I'm like, I'm not going to change the characters. I'm not going to change the story. All I'm going to do is tell it better. And the 5 loudest voices I sent the finished manuscript to. And all 5 of them came and said, okay, you can do that. It's really good. So at some point, I'm going to take down the old novels and then put the new ones on Audible. So we'll catch those up. But pretty much everything else I've written, unless it's a freebie or it's a novella, is on Audible.
Okay.
I had never listened to audiobooks until I started making them. And Chris loves to tell a story. We were listening to Warlord, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just, we were parked getting ready to go someplace. She said, "You have the funniest look on your face," and I said, "I'm really kind of good." And she just cracked up. But it was hearing it spoken was like a whole different experience for me. And I'm gonna tell a story on Chris. She doesn't like. Well, she does. It's funny. We were driving. We were looking for houses. We were driving back. We'd been a long day. It was like 2 a.m. We were driving up I-81, and there was a lot of road construction. And so we were going about 20 miles an hour, and we were listening to Marked and Maida, which is Jean-Michel and Darby. And all of a sudden she goes, she goes, "You bastard." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm thinking some guy on the road crew mooned her or something. I'm like looking around, and I look, and she's sound asleep. So I just lost it. I'm like laughing my ass off. And then we get to another part in the book, and she goes, "Tell him, Jean-Michel, tell him." She's dead ass asleep and talking to the boss.
That's
and
so
I
fun.
literally laughed my ass all the way or the rest of the way home. I was absolutely in hysterics because she kept interacting with the book. And I thought that was so much fun.
That is so fantastic. Well, and we got to meet John.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't watched our previous chat with Delta, John makes an appearance. Her audiobook, one of her audiobook narrators. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He made an appearance last time we had our happy hour, so you can check that out here on our YouTube channel. Okay, so Delta, give me a number between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 people still hanging with us, and there's a couple other, but they said they weren't entering. So, 9 who are entering. So, Delta, give me a number between 1 and 9.
7.
7. 7. Ooh, Miss Tanya, you are going to get the wine tumbler and the paperback of Uncorked. Just email me at info@bookcaseandcoffee.com and we will get your address. I know your address, Tanya, but just email me anyway. And we'll get that information out to Delta. Give me another number between 1 and 9, but not 7.
3.
3. Okay, Miss Callie, you are the winner of the other basket of swag and your choice of Delta's book. Again, you can just email me info@bookcaseandcoffee.com and I will get your information to Miss Delta. Okay, one more number between 1 and 9, but not 3 or 7.
5.
5.
She likes those odds.
She does.
Those are actually my lucky numbers. The first
Miss-
national championship I ever run on horses was my number. On my back was 357.
Miss Autumn, you are the winner of our Baby Yoda book sleeve, candle, and other goodies. So again, go ahead and email me info@bookcaseandcoffee.com and I will get that out in the mail to you. My mailman, he loves me. I always have packages for
and
him.
I think that since she's got a book sleeve, she ought to have a book to go in it. So why don't you have her tell you what book she would like, and I will send. And
I
get that to me and
will.
I'll send it
Oh,
to you.
that's so sweet. Autumn, did you hear that? Tell me what book of Delta's you would like to have a copy of, and she will include that for you to go with our book sleeve. So that's pretty awesome. You're
Well,
so
you got a book
awesome.
sleeve, you can have the book.
Right?
Well, I like to do things for people.
I
We
know.
were calling you the queen of swag the other day because you always have such good swag.
We were talking about trying to
I try
expand
make
our
really
swag.
practical swag. I try to make really practical swag, stuff that people will use and enjoy. And, I have some great coasters, and
You have the best coasters. That coaster is by
Yes,
my
we do.
computer, and my girl child tried to steal it, and I was like, "That is my coaster backup. Backup, sister. That is mine."
That is. It's a very good coaster. But like I said, I don't go cheap. But I don't go cheap because I try to make things that people will actually use.
Yeah,
And if you noticed, I used my Delta mug tonight
she did. With her
because
fancy
I only
mug.
drink my alcoholic drinks
I only do a
in a
limited
mug.
number of mugs, and I do kind of a different mug each year. And so the interesting thing was when I first did a Renee, my PA said, "Oh, I want one of the mugs," so I sent it to her. I said, "Of course you can have a mug." And then she came back and she goes, "I need to buy another mug." And I said, "Oh, did it break or did it?" She goes, "No, my daughter has absconded with it because she says it's like the best for sipping tea." So
I love the
sent her
dragon.
another mug.
Like that's my favorite
Isn't
part.
that
The
fun?
dragon on the back.
Yeah.
Because I like to be a
Chelsea-
book dragon.
Yeah, Chelsea Hancock does all of my swag. I had
Mhm.
somebody else ask me about doing my swag for me, and I said, I normally would because I believe in helping entrepreneurs and all that, but Chelsea does all my swag. I mean, that's just who does my swag.
Mhm.
Chelsea does all my swag. She does a lot of work for me, and she doesn't let people use my colors in the same way I use them. The original cozies were a red cozy with black and silver, and they're very striking. And a lot of people wanted them, and she was like, "No." They're like, "Well, no, that's what." She's like, "No, those are Delta's colors. I'm sorry, you can't have them." She's like, they're like, but for me that means a lot. It's like the pins I did, are these really pretty red metal pins, and with stylus on them, and she won't do the red with silver for anybody else. So I think that's kind of fun.
I think that's amazing. I love that.
That is amazing.
Okay, so Carolina needs to know what we're drinking this evening, and Delta we know is got her Diet Coke.
Yep.
Leah, what are you drinking?
Well, it's empty, but it was a Jameson and ginger because I didn't have time to dig the cherries out.
Is out. And I told her that I had the New York sour. So anyway,
Well, I thought it was really fun in my book that Link and Damien have this vineyard.
But they don't drink
Only
wine.
they drink wine.
right?
I love that.
I thought that was kind of a fun thing. But it's one of those things that my characters reveal to me. It's like, you have a vineyard, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't like wine." It's
I just like to like
but you have a vineyard.
the malts and the tequila.
Yeah. Well, and I have had people ask me about the oak cask, and I think is it 267 or 325? But it actually is a famous cask that Scotch is aged in. And to buy a bottle of Scotch that's been aged in a cask are like tens of thousands, like $60,000-$80,000 a bottle. So
Is that
I just
Mr.
thought that
Burrier's goal?
yeah, I just thought that would be really And I have to tell you, I'm a Scotch snob. If I'm going to drink Scotch, I drink it neat, and I only drink single malt, and I only drink really old, really expensive single malt.
Okay, but wait. So
Other,
we have spent quarantine. My husband has spent quarantine collecting different types and styles of whiskey. So we have American whiskeys, we have bourbons, we have scotches and Irish whiskeys. And then I recently learned that we have different kinds of scotches. Some are what they call, I'm going to get it wrong,
blended?
like Isle scotches and Bayside scotches. Some have moss, some, I mean, and
some are
seriously, there's
peaty,
this.
some are smoky, some are, yeah.
Yeah, so he drinks this one that's called Ardbach that is like super smoky. I swear to God, it tastes like Clorette spray that your mom used to like push into your sore throats when you were a kid. It is so wrong. And he's like, "Oh, this is delicious." And I'm like, "What is wrong with
my
you?"
favorite is called Macallan's, and I like to drink 100-year-old Macallan's, and it's stupid expensive. And I will only share it with people who are also Scotch snobs because the rest of you aren't going to get it. And I mean, it's like literally when Chris saw me go to buy a bottle one night, she was like, "How much?" It's just stupid, but it's really good. I really like it. It's very, very smooth. But yeah. But my other thing is tequila. That's my other drink is tequila.
We have learned all about
I like tequila.
pot stilled and chimney stilled, or I don't know. I've spent a lot of time learning about whiskey during quarantine. And we have a collection.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
That is ridiculous.
Not a bad thing.
But I really like the I can't think. There's one that it's a scotch that is aged in a port cast. I prefer the port cast aged scotch versus the sherry aged scotch. So, I don't know. We have like 50 some bottles.
A little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
It's really it's a lot of fun. I had a man I was involved with was a real Scotch aficionado.
Yeah.
And he taught me. Now, most of you aren't old enough to understand this. There was the first woman governor, I'm not sure if it was in the United States, but it was certainly in Washington, was a nuclear scientist by the name of Dixie Lee Ray. And she was a real character. And I met her in my early 20s. And she, I was helping put on a political fundraiser for her. And she said, "Oh, let's leave the boys to it and you and me go have a drink." And I went, "Oh, okay." So I went down into the bar with her, and I'm thinking, "Wow, I'm with Governor Ray. This is really cool." And I went to order like a daiquiri, and she goes, "Oh, good God, don't drink one of those fruity umbrella drinks. Learn how to drink a real whiskey. Give her a whiskey." And that's coming.
When
I always remember her just, oh, for God's sake.
my husband, when he first came and he and I started dating, my dad and mom went to school in Kentucky, but they've always been Maker's Mark bourbon drinkers. And my husband like put his like Coke in it or something. And my dad was like, "What are you doing? We don't do that. Maybe an ice cube, but no." Like, it was like pure sacrilege. Like, this is the worst thing you could ever do. Don't even put water in it.
That's how I feel about the Macallans. I'll let you put water or ice cubes in other scotches, but if I'm sharing my bottle of Macallans, you're not putting anything in it. That fucker's way too expensive.
Fair. Completely fair. Delta, I want to say thank you again for joining us. We loved having you. And as always,
I have so much fun.
You're welcome back anytime.
It's a treat to have you with us.
It's like my husband's like, "Aren't you?"
Such good time.
My husband's like, "Aren't you tired? You've done quite a few this week." And I said, "No, this is Delta's. It's going to be so fun and so easy.
It's a good one to wrap up with."
Yeah, she's like, you're like the highlight of my week. So thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you.
We've enjoyed having you. Also, so if you need more information of what we have coming up next, we're going to take a week off because we were crazy this week. But then we'll be back after Easter with our friend Kelly Kay and her Over a Barrel and Under a Bus books. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Bye.